Ironside will not be seen tonight, so we may bring you the following special program.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners.
Terrificon, Connecticut's biggest Comic-Con, is back at the Mohegan Sun Expo Center in Uncasville, Connecticut on August 16th through the 18th. See your favorite stars from TV and film and shop for comic books, toys and memorabilia. With top creators from Marvel and DC, costume contests with prizes, and so much more. Tickets on sale now at Terrificon.com.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here, man. I'm excited for Terrificon. It's coming up this Friday. We're only a couple days away. And among my friends that will be with me at Terrificon, the great Phillip Kennedy Johnson joining us now live on Word Balloon. And again, this weekend at Terrificon. Good to see you, man.
Awesome to see you, John. Thanks for having me on here.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you got a lot of news, man, and we're going to get to it in just a second. But yeah, I'm excited to see you. You got the whole family coming out to Terrificon this weekend.
Yeah, man, it'll be great. I'm super stoked for it. I've never been to Terrificon. I've been hearing people talk it up for years and never been able to go. And now my army time is starting to come to a close. I'm able to make it up this year.
Excellent, man. It's going to be great. There we go. Kari says good evening. Thank you, Kari. Good to see you. Kari will also be at Terrificon with the Splash Pages podcast as well. And what is Tavkins says, awesome. Be sure to leave us the social media for him so we can pursue his work. Sure. Well, before we start on the books, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, Phillip, online?
Oh, sure. Well, I'm on, you can find my website at philipkennedyjohnson.com, but I'm also active on Twitter and all the Twitter descendants. Let's see, I'm on X and Blue Sky and Threads and everything, but I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. I'm not as active on social media as I ought to be, but I do try to plug the books and signal boost some friends and people that are doing things I think are interesting. So you can find me all those places.
Sure, absolutely. And also, that you still you've got double duties beyond your writing, of course. Your service in the military. We thank you for that. But also, I think it's
sure.
A really interesting career, and it's only made for interesting stories that we've shared with each other over the years. So yeah, anything going on Army wise in the next months or so?
Yeah, I just dropped papers. I'm actually retiring soon, which is cool. So it'll be more bandwidth to write, after that. But yeah, so I'm coming up to the end of my Army time. I had to miss San Diego this year because I was overseas. Actually, my unit was doing stuff in Switzerland and Finland, so I was unavailable this time. But yeah, that was an interesting trip.
Well, maybe you avoided the San Diego COVID that everybody was coming down with.
Man, it's hard to go to cons and not get COVID these days. Like it seems like even when I mask up and goop up the hands and everything, it's just hard to.
Oh yeah,
hard not to catch something.
No, I hear you, man. I agree. Let's see. And Chatham says, first he says, congratulations on making it out in one piece.
Thanks.
So glad to see that you made it home safely. I don't know if
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Overseas. But very cool. Well, let's get to it, man. There was a big announcement, obviously, right before, I want to say, San Diego, where they let us know that you're taking over Batman and Robin.
Yeah, I'm so excited about that book. Yeah, they reached out about doing Batman and Robin in conjunction with the big all-in push that we're doing starting in October. So that's coming really soon. And Javi Fernandez is doing art on that book,
Yeah. Is that his cover?
That's his work there. Yeah. Yeah. God, I can't. Oh my God. I can't wait for you to see the interiors. It's insane. He drew probably my favorite action scene in any Batman comic. Like I gave him these pages. I was like, man, how, it's pretty much the opening of my first issue. And I wanted to give Javi an action scene that is just so bonkers that it could only work in a comic, like it was something that they would not have the budget to make work in a movie, So I gave him this crazy sequence to draw, and he just, man, did he step up. I can't wait for you to see it. It's the most unbelievable scene. I just getting the opportunity to write a Batman story, man. Growing up, my heroes in comics, and I mean, yeah, anyway, my heroes in comics were Superman and Batman, probably more than any other. And they just represent such different power fantasies to me as a kid. Both of them were so important. I've talked about my Superman, infatuation, many times. And I guess I'm wearing it right here. But but Batman also, just the idea that you can, through sheer force of will, you can make yourself as great as any of these gods that you're working with. And just that idea was just so powerful to me. Just any world's finest comic, just anytime I just look at the cover of a world's finest comic growing up and just think about like Superman, who's just this godlike figure that just shows us the way in every action. And then there's just this living man, this mortal man that made himself just as badass. God, that was just such a powerful thing. And now I'm in this place in my life where I've got this insanely close relationship with my son. We're just best friends, and I'm always looking for an opportunity to tell a father-son story that would mean something to me, something where I would have something to say. And I've been writing Superman in that capacity for so long now, where he's the ideal father. I try to write him as the ideal father who shows me the way, somebody I aspire to be like. Batman is not that. Batman is somebody who he kind of doesn't know how to be a father really without, like he raises soldiers, right? Like he's looking for allies and soldiers and, chess pieces to use in his mission. And he kind of doesn't know how to be like a proper father, but he tries to. And he doesn't really know how to be a son either. Like he lost his folks awfully young, and he just has these memories of them that are twisted by what happened. And in that relationship with Alfred, obviously he loved Alfred, but we also have countless times where he's kind of shitty. He just he doesn't know how to be a father or a son. And Damien, of course, is basically raised in a lab by evil. It's just both of them are trying to figure it out. That situation just fascinates me, and I was really eager to write both those characters and just show them both trying to show love in their own broken ways. God, I can't wait for people to see this book.
That's exciting, and I think you're answering Karen's question with what you've just been saying as far as your favorite part of writing Damian and Bruce together. Also, though, Karen was wondering what we can expect of Talia. I'm a big fan of the way you wrote the Al Ghuls, even if it was short. Where was your Ra's al Ghul or Al Ghul family story?
There was a Gotham City villain special that came out a while back. It was like a one-shot anthology, and they had me do a Ra's al Ghul story in there. That was with Riccardo Federici, my old friend from The Last God and Felspar Chronicles that we did together in Action Comics and everything. So they brought Riccardo out for me, and we did a Ra's al Ghul story that was really fun. In that story, I mean, that was about kind of a chess game. Like there was, so forgive me if this is an overshare. I might have already told the story on here. I hope not. But my dad and I didn't live together for a while, and we would play chess in we would write a chess move at the bottom of a letter. Like we'd write a letter and write a chess move, and we'd play through the chess game that way over time. And I kind of imagined Batman and Roz having that kind of relationship too, where we've had those iconic moments of them playing chess, and to me that kind of represented the way they would always clash as well. Like they're not just fighting; they're also kind of debating who's right, about whose vision is the correct one.
Yep.
And so I kind of had this thought that like when they meet in battle later on, one of them will find a chess move, tucked into their glove or something.
Funny.
And then they would go back and make the move in their lair, and they're slowly playing this chess game, like, trying to see who's right. So that story was about that basically. And I will say the chessboard appears in this story as well.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Now, again, you'll forgive me because sometimes I don't know what's happening in current continuity. Is Roz dead?
Roz is dead.
Roz is dead. Okay.
There is some. It's kind of a gray area, as it often is with the Al Ghuls. I'd forgotten to tell you a question. I got to go back to Talia, but yeah, they Roz is dead, but there's also the issue with Flatline, and it's kind of suggested that Roz is still somehow, like, he's still sort of present in some way that is not entirely clear yet.
Sure.
But for all intents and purposes, certainly for the story that I'm telling here, Roz is dead.
Okay.
And yeah, the Al Ghuls, man, that is such well-trod ground with Damian. I'm trying not to beat it over the head right now. I mean, Josh has already been talking about that a great deal in his Batman and Robin run, and with the the story, the Al Ghul stuff that happened right before that. So I'm trying not to make it the whole centerpiece. The Al Ghul stuff is the centerpiece of the story, but I also have I don't know, my headcanon for Talia, man. Like, she's not this cackling villain to me that she is often portrayed as, where she's like just pure scheming evil. That's not how I see her at all. I still kind of think back to the Denny O'Neil stuff, where it was meant to be this kind of Romeo and Juliet story where they're supposed to be star-crossed lovers, and like, who honestly, I mean, we more often see Batman and Catwoman, or in other times in Batman's history, saying Vicky Vale or whoever. But I don't know. To me, Talia always seemed like the proper match. Now, again, before everyone flips out, I know not everyone feels that way. I'm not saying there's not going to be the big, Batman Talia family dynamic thing. I actually did explore that in my Superman run with Earth Al Ghul, and how things might have gone if Batman had taken Roz's offer. So I have explored that already, but I just don't, to have her just be another villainy villain in his rogues gallery just doesn't seem right. She was supposed to be the one that might have been the perfect match, really, and then just never quite worked because of the League of Assassins stuff.
Sure.
So anyway, I don't want to belabor it too much. I'm not making the Al Ghul family the centerpiece of the run or anything. But when Talia fans do see how I've treated the Al Ghul elements, they will not be disappointed.
Excellent. A231-259 says, I enjoy a nuanced Talia, unlike the one that we got in the otherwise good Grant Morrison run. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk shit about Grant in any case. But again, kind of what I just said about the Denny O'Neil stuff. Like, I do see Talia differently than Grant does, and so yeah,
that's cool.
We'll explore that.
And Forrest has praise for Javi Fernandez. He's so good. Found his work with Nightwing Rebirth in 2016. Fell in love immediately. Glad to see he's been on a consistently rising trajectory ever since.
Oh man, just wait. This is the best stuff he's ever done, in my opinion. He did this great detective issue with Rom, and damn, was that good. And that was the thing that really sold me on him doing this book. I was like, we got to get this guy. Javi's the guy for this book. I love his take on Batman. I mean, he's been drawing Batman for years. Even just his little fan pieces and commissions are just, God, they're just perfect.
That's cool.
I was really excited to get him on this book.
Alan wants to know, and I guess because it's in the air, did you get approached to do an Absolute book? If you did get picked to do a character in the Absolute DC line, who would you want to do?
Man, I don't want to get into behind the scenes conversations or anything because some of that stuff might still come to pass.
Sure.
Um, so I shouldn't get into it too much about what discussions have happened. Um, I am really at some point I want to do an Aquaman book.
Oh, awesome.
I love world
Yeah.
building, and I have strong opinions about Atlantis, about what Atlantis is like. It should be like another planet down there. So it would be really dope to be able to basically reinvent Atlantis and this whole other like dark sidey kind of world. Like what could that place look like? That would be dope as hell. But yeah,
Cool.
right now I'm trying to protect my bandwidth. I've been burning the candle whole for a long time. But at some point, I'm going to go ahead and go on the record of saying someday I'm going to do an Aquaman, and it's going to be dope.
That sounds great, man. That's excellent.
But Green Lantern too, I think, would be really fun. Like a completely new take on Green Lantern would be another awesome opportunity. It could be fun to do if the absolute universe ends up as dark as it could be. I think it would be a really interesting way. There could be a really interesting take on the Spectre in a world like that.
Oh, interesting. God, I'd love to see the Spectre, man. I'd love to see
I know Spectre's not like an A-lister per se, but I think that would be really fun.
Well, but just like when Tom does, Human Target or
exactly right
Street or something, the book becomes an A-list, and why not? I mean, I love the Spectre, and I've loved all the various long runs on the Spectre, whether it's John Ostrander and Tom Mandrake back in the '80s, Mike Fleischer in the '70s. I'm a big Spectre fan. I would love.
What do you think, John? Like, what kind of books? Like, aside from the ones that are already announced, like, what would you like to see in the Absolute Universe?
Well, and I'll go with another C or D level character. I'm always curious as to how the intelligence world works in the DC universe, and I always feel like King Faraday never gets enough play. Seems like like certainly right now in Absolute Power, Wade is leaning on Steve Trevor, and that's great because I think Steve's a good character and stuff. But there is more than that, and I was always a big Checkmate fan as well, for that matter, as far as stories about intelligence. But God, I mean, so that immediately comes to mind. Ragman, I think, is a very dark and interesting character that doesn't get enough play. And that's one that I'm another fan of. So yeah, there's a couple for you. But I'm excited for this this new initiative, the Absolute Books, and in fact, there will be a DC All-In panel at Terrificon, and Phillip will be on there, and Jason Aaron will be on there talking about Absolute Superman, and Scott Snyder will be there talking about Absolute Batman. So we'll get a lot more details.
Man, that's gonna be really fun. I love both those guys.
Hey, here, look at this. A231 259 says you'd be great on New Gods. Absolutely.
Man. I was actually after we talked about those others, I was actually just thinking about New Gods. Yeah, that would be like a completely new take on New Gods. Would be crazy, super fun.
And a lot of people are excited about seeing you maybe eventually on Aquaman, including Karen. That's cool.
Thanks. Yeah, we'll get there.
Let's see here. Have you gotten a chance, asks Forrest, to read Junie Ba's Boy Wonder series yet? That book is practically Batman's ego, but for Damian. And the most recent issue has a wonderful take on Damian and Talia's relationship.
I'm embarrassed to say I have bought that first issue and I've not read it yet. Like I bought it and then I went overseas like right after I bought that thing. So it's sitting on a stack that I need to get through as soon as you know what, I'll read it tonight. So thank you very much for reminding me of that because I was really excited to read it.
And Kari says you'd write a great Crazy Dead Man as well.
God, I love Dead Man.
Sure.
I love all those creepy dudes.
Yeah, well, when we get to the Hulk, I want to talk to you obviously about some creepy dudes that you're and women that you're writing over in the Hulk. But let's stay in DC for now because you're wrapping up next week Green Lantern War Journal. Yeah,
that's the end of a run, man. So when they first asked me to do the Green Lantern story, it was only going to be a 6-issue story at first, but then it was extremely warmly received, which was awesome to see. And we just thought there was room for to go a little further with it, so we took it further and kind of tied it into my Action Comics run, which was cool. We because that was always kind of the idea, like the big bad of the story, the Revenant Queen, that in the second arc of that run, it gets into the will of Algren, like one of the other god aspects of Algren, who was the big bad in the Warworld saga, kind of. So tying those together was really fun. And man, Montos, the artist on this, did such incredible work. This was his first like long form thing at DC, I think, and it was just, now he's going on to Green Arrow. You're going to see that dude do a lot more stuff at DC. He crushed it. The response to this book has been amazing. Just a huge honor to get to write John like we did for so long.
I love this story, and I love the personal aspect of the story too. That John is dealing with his mother and her slow descent into Alzheimer's and everything that happens to her in your story. And God, weird irony. A good friend of mine just lost his mom, and she was suffering from Alzheimer's. And
I'm sorry to hear
I
that.
liked what John was going through with my friend and everything. And yeah, it's tough, man.
Yeah, I think people will be satisfied with the wrap up. I know I knew that I really needed to stick the landing on this one because of the stuff with John's mother, and it needs to be an ending that people can. It can't be like a hugely crushing downer ending, So I had to handle it in a very specific way, but I'm very pleased with it. I think readers are going to dig it.
Yeah, man.
And it goes from there straight into the other Green Lantern series. Like you're going to see some crossover stuff. It'll all feed into the same story that Jeremy is continuing.
What Jeremy's doing. That's great. I've been catching up on Jeremy's run in the last couple of weeks. Really enjoying it as well.
Jeremy's such a great dude, man. I love that guy.
That's cool. No, I got to get him on, man. I haven't had him on yet.
I will send him this podcast.
It'd be great, man. No, if you can help me tap on his shoulder, that'd be terrific.
No problem. Yeah, I can text him right now.
There you go. Excellent. See, this is why, man. Again, I'm so excited to see everybody this weekend at Terrificon, including you, but really, like all our friends, all our out of town friends. And I always, when I miss San Diego, I'm like, oh man, everybody was together, or a lot of us, a lot of them are. And it's like, I'm not there to say hello to everybody. So I'm really glad that so many of them are coming this weekend to Mohegan Sun. I think it's going to be great.
I'm literally texting him right now. So John Suntress says,
"Oh, thanks, man.
Balloon. Send."
Thanks, buddy. And here, first of all, Algren, RM Chapman says Algren versus Superman at some point, I hope.
Oh yeah, dude, don't worry about that. Yeah, I'm not done with Superman.
And then also here, Green Lantern question: the villain Tharos that you created has been taking up a lot of time lately in Green Lantern. Do you expect him to be so involved in the greater DC universe?
I hope so. Yeah. When I got him, well, yeah. I mean, I came on the heels of Bendis's run, and there was all the United Planet stuff that he had put in motion, both with Superman run, but also with Legion and everything.
Yep.
So introducing a bad guy, kind of pulling the strings in the United Planets, just made a lot of sense for the story that I was telling. Somebody like a bad guy that was not a big bruiser like we normally see, but someone who's just extremely ambitious and self-serving and a coward. Somebody that we, that plausibly might get into politics, if I may say so. So yeah, it was just the perfect villain for what I needed right then. Someone who was like kind of a puppet to Mongol to protect his own ends. And I hope that United Planets would also be important in other books. So then when Jeremy and I started working together on the Green Lantern stuff, Jeremy actually was super game to use somebody like that. He and I were talking about United Planet stuff, and I mentioned Tharos, and he was all over it. Man, Jeremy is such a great collaborator. He's all about like sharing toys in the sandbox, like using, like seeding ideas from other people's stuff in his own, or picking up threads from the run right before him and using it in his own, and leaving stuff for someone else to play with. He's just really mindful of the whole shared universe. It's just a pleasure to work with him.
That's great to hear. Yeah,
because there are plenty of creators who would rather be like, I just want to do my own thing. but having him be so game to join up in those things just makes me want to, be the same way. So it was really fun to interact with him. He could have very easily been just made up his own character. But he wanted to use Tharos, and that led to like a short story with Mark Guggenheim, kind of fleshing out Tharos's past, his origin. So like got to talk to Guggenheim some about that, and because they know each other. It was just really rewarding.
That's awesome. A few more comments about War Journal from Jake. I was hoping to see more Montos do something Lantern related ever since Heavy Metal canceled him and Christopher Priest's Entropy. And you both straight up killed it on War Journal, so that's nice to hear.
Oh, thanks, Jake. It's super kind. Yeah, Montos I can't say enough good things about him. He's another one. He's just he's so very positive all the time. He's fast as hell. You wouldn't know it by looking at the art, but that dude works fast. And like there's been more than one time where he kind of saved our ass as far as his schedule, where he just really moves fast.
That's cool. Kevin says, big fan. You said before that Hal was your GL growing up instead of the other human Green Lanterns. Has your view of John Stewart changed from writing issue 1 now to issue 12?
My view of John changed before I started the book. When I was doing all my research to figure out who John is, I still thought of John as just the architect when I was a kid, because that's how I saw him in the books, and the few books that I had with him in it. He was the architect. And I definitely wanted to bring that to the fore in this run, so he's not just the Marine. But talking to Jeffrey Thorne and just reminding myself of some of the elements that makes John who he is, I got a pretty clear vision in my mind of who John is, and I tried to bring that across in the book. It didn't really, once the book started, my view of John did not change over the course of the series. I just really had to figure John out before I started, if that makes sense. I knew by the time I started, I knew where we were going to end up. I knew where we wanted John to get, what he was going to learn about himself, what he was going to go through with his mom and his sister and the ring and everything. So didn't really change over the course of the series, but I definitely had to figure him out before I started. And I love John, man. I think, can I say he's my favorite now? I think he might be John's pretty awesome. I love that John's just the obvious Lantern, the obvious choice for the ring to have chosen.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because his mom, his civil rights leader mother, was the hero that taught him how to do this. And he always, more than once in the series, he says, says to her, like, you should have gotten this ring, not me.
Which is great. No, that's really, their conversations are amazing. And in fact, next week is when the series wraps up. Issue 12, I believe.
Yep.
And DC was kind enough to give me an advanced look. And no, man, I think you end the.
Good. So you've read it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, great, man. I'm glad. Yeah, there's an epilogue chapter, and that's going to be the backup in one of the other Green Lantern issues.
Yes.
Just a little 8-pager, and then that leads into the Civil Corps crossover special that Jeremy and I wrote together.
Oh, very cool. Oh, and you guys did write, you wrote that with Jeremy, the Civil Corps? Excellent. And that will also, again, spill out in Green Lantern?
Yes, that will go straight into the arc that follows in Green Lantern.
Got it. Very cool. Michaela wants to know, what Green Lantern books did you read before writing War Journal?
Well, Mosaic, of course.
Sure.
There was a really, well, the Jeff Thorne run also in its entirety.
Yes.
A lot of the really old stuff. Oh God, like the original John Stewart issues, like where he throws off the mask.
Denny and Neil, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. The what else? There was one, I forget the number, man. There's this so many people listening to the show know this stuff better than me as far as like numbers and years and everything. But there was a really crucial issue in which John is, I think it was when he was in his wheelchair, and he was having these memories of his dog or something. He had like these crazy repressed memories of his dog getting killed in a car wreck or something, and like her name is Rose, and he kept he didn't know why he was struggling with these memories so much, and eventually the memories kind of come back to the surface, and he realizes it was actually his sister who died, and he had somehow made up these other memories to like cover them up or something. He realized that his sister had died in a car accident and that it was his fault. And that just crushed him. And it was actually those memories that were keeping him paralyzed, even though his body was pretty much okay. Anyway, just the painful memories of his sister was a really impactful story that I wanted to revisit. So I poured over that one as well. And hence the sister's name is Ellie Rose in this. Because I established in the World Without a Justice League story, in that story, his sister's name is Eleanor. So in the main continuity, her name is Ellie Rose. Anyway, there were some key John books that I kind of looked for on top of the obvious ones like the old Denny stuff and Mosaic.
That's cool. Shisui Salty 3.0 says, sorry if we're on GL. I have a question for that too, but will we see Damian speak to John Kent's Superman or Yara Flor in your Batman and Robin? So we wonder the new Wonder Girl or young Superman, John Kent.
Certainly John Kent. Yeah, I mean, I have not gotten to, in my scripting, I'm not yet to a place where John and Damian are like hanging out, but yeah, it's going to be hard for me to have a Damian story and not have John in there somewhere. I love seeing those two interact. I got to interact a little bit in action. That was super fun. Honestly, I want to see Batman and Superman interact too, man. Whenever those two hang out and talk is just so fun. Actually, so yes, my answer to that is yes. We'll bring John in somewhere. The story's not about that, but there's all these really fun interactions, like with, at some point we've got to see Talia. At some point we've got to see John. There's the characters that just have to be there. At some point, Clark's going to have to show up. Sorry, I lost my train of thought here. But see, yeah, it's going to be tough for me to have a Batman story without Superman showing up. There was actually one of Tom King's best issues of his Batman run, in my opinion, was the Double Date issue.
Oh God, yeah,
that was such a strong story.
Yeah,
and, I mean, the two parts of that I think stuck with me the most were where they're so Bat and Cat are in one place, and then Superman and Lois are elsewhere, and both Superman and Batman are talking about the other, and talking about why the other person is such a better person than they are. That was really, very powerful exchange.
Yeah.
And there was also, I love how he wrote Batman in that chapter. And I don't remember Batman using almost any commas anywhere. And every statement was just like a stone. Like he just speaks and it's just there.
Sure.
I love that. And that has stuck with me ever since. And that, to me, that is now Batman's voice. So in my run, when you see Bruce on screen, when Bruce is speaking, he talks like the rest of us.
Sure.
But when it's just him and Damian, or when he's Batman in costume, you're not going to see any commas. He speaks in those stones that he did in that Tom King chapter. I really love that. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like Cormac McCarthy, where he hardly uses any punctuation, just periods basically. Every now and then you'll see a comma sneak in there, but almost never. Reading Cormac McCarthy is just so stark and almost harsh, almost cruel the way that the language comes across.
Sure. Well, fits the stories. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's just so no bullshit. And yeah. I love that voice for Batman. So Batman and Bruce are written very differently in my story.
All right, RP, Chatham, and Asa are both asking if perhaps the super twins, Otho and Ursel, might be, well, first Asa says Batman has never met them. We might get jealous because he's never adopted two at once. And and then Chapin asks if we might see the Super Twins in your run.
I don't know. I shouldn't comment on that, I guess.
There you go. All right.
I have my reasons.
No, that's amen. Everybody, and they're all fair questions, but sometimes we want our presents on Christmas Day. We don't want to do it.
That's right. So regarding the Batman and Robin story, I would love to talk about that a little bit more.
Please.
I had a story, like when they came to me about writing Batman and Robin, I already had a Batman take kind of like ready to go. And it did involve Damian very prominently. So it was perfect for a Batman and Robin book. And I have very specific Batman runs that are influencing mine. But I would be curious to hear what you'd want to see in there. And I want to hear from the chat too, actually. So John and whoever's listening, what are some Batman stories that you would like to see? Like as far as like Batman stories you'd like to see emulated in a Batman or Robin story. Like what are some of your favorite Batman stories that you would love to see more of?
Well, I always trust your individual voice, and so I'm always like, do what you want. I know you're not saying necessarily do stories that are derivative of former stories, but yeah, I do think there's this relationship with Bruce and Damian. There's still a lot to explore because of the way time works in comic books. So I still think they are figuring each other out still. And, the various things that Zdarsky and others have, and Wade and other writers have impressed on both of their characters when they work together or when they're in conflict. I just think, like I said, I just think there's a lot of fertile ground there. Aaliyah says, I hope you find yourself well. Are there any characters of Damian's cast, such as Mara, Maya, Flatline, or really anyone from the Lazarus tournament that you want to use in your Batman and Robin run?
I hope this doesn't break your heart, but I actually was not planning on using a lot of those guys in this particular story. The story is, so this kind of plays into what I was just asking, actually, because I do have a very clear story in mind that I want to tell, but it's a very ground level Gotham detective noir story. What I was kind of getting at with my question about what people wanted to see, I want to see a Batman story that is a legit detective story. I want to see an actual, I want to see a real mystery. So that's what I'm doing with this. Like it's going to be influenced by stories like Court of Owls, Long Halloween, The Doom That Came to Gotham, actually. I love that story.
Sure.
Just kind of the vibe of Gotham by Gaslight.
Okay.
Man. Like I want it to feel like I want Gotham to be like foggy, rainy. I want there to be a mystery to solve that Batman doesn't just snap his fingers and figure out right away. I want to see elements of Batman's past. What I really wanted to show was Batman, Bruce Wayne and Damian at similar ages, almost like a True Detective kind of a feel where you see like flashbacks and you see him when he's on his walkabout. And then you see Damian at a similar age and how they're similar and how they're different.
Wow. Interesting.
So we're going to get to see those guys interact. We're going to see a kind of a hidden chapter from Batman's past, and we're going to see how Damian fits into that. There's going to be a new villain that I'm really excited about, and the vibe is going to be very much just a Gotham vibe, not so much the kind of story that we saw in the Lazarus tournament or like global or cosmic intrigue. It's going to be more about murders happening in the streets of Gotham and how we catch this person and how it ties into Batman's origins and how it ties into Damian's future. And all that time they're also trying to figure out how to be a father, how to be a son, how to be, both of these people are broken. How do they fit in this new dynamic, father-son dynamic that neither one of them understands? But also just that mystery element is so crucial. And man, Javi's art is just perfect for that style.
Excellent. I'm looking. All right, I'm going to throw at you a bunch of requests from the types of stories that viewers are throwing in right now. Wait till I finish through the list before you react to any of these, because there's a lot of them. No, and I mean, and they do. They have some interesting ideas. Let's see. For instance, Michaela says the Pete Tomasi Pat Gleason run was a high point. I think the thing that I like seeing the most is just them both learning to be father and son. Also, Aaron says the Grant Morrison run, very cool, and crazy new villains, very true. Cesar says Boy Wonder issue 3 had some really good interactions between Tim and Dadian, and I always felt that relationship was never developed enough. Also, how much does Tom King's Trinity backups factor into Batman and Robin, considering Damian is there as both Robin and Batman? Let's see here. Fletch says, would love to see Batman try to teach Robin patience through an activity, maybe baseball. Oh, that's it. Yeah, boy, that would be really interesting to see the father and son really trying to do something normal, and how that plays out given the abnormalities of Bruce and Damian.
Yeah, totally.
That's interesting. And pieces for me, Denny O'Neill's Batman will always be the Batman, both when he wrote the books in the 70s and when he was group editor in the 80s and 90s. A lot of people feel that way.
You know, I love that too. And there was, I remember actually a book not long after Jason Todd's death, when Alfred was kind of chiding Batman for thinking with his fists all the time. Like he said he was, you know, Alfred said something like, I'm patching you up a lot these days, like real bad. And like your knuckles are battered and broken, and like, you didn't used to be this way. You used to solve these crimes with your mind, and now you're solving them with your fists. And over the course of that issue, he kept trying to remind himself of that, like, you know, think with your, like, figure this out, use your brain. And at the end of the big fight, he's like, what did you use? And he held up his fist, and he knew that like he'd still kind of pounded his way through it. That's kind of what I was thinking that all the way through, you know, writing the story now. Like, I'm trying to not just let this be any kind of superhero story I'm writing, man. It can't just be a fight between one muscly dude and another one. Like that can be anybody. You know, what makes it a Hulk book? What makes it a Batman book? What makes it a Superman book? And for Batman, it has to be that he's the world's greatest detective, and I want to see that.
I'm with you on all of that. Absolutely, man. Here's Zach has an interesting sidebar, but it kind of could fit in with what we're talking about too. I've always been a fan of the Bruce Ollie dynamic, Ollie Queen.
Oh my God, me too.
There's similarities in some situations with different personalities and approaches. Do you have thoughts on Oliver Queen?
I wrote a Batman Green Arrow team up in an anthology one time. And it was really fun. They talk a lot of trash in my version, because Ollie is real, you know, they're basically, Ollie's kind of making fun of him. And then Batman is just like, you know, shut up, let's do this. But then he actually gives some shit back too. It was really, really fun.
Well, they're two dysfunctional fathers, but also what I've always liked about Ollie is he calls all the heroes on their bullshit, and has always been that way. Maybe whether he's aware or not of his own his own failings. But yeah, I mean, that was what I always loved about in Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, right.
You know, Bruce, you know, the world's screwed up, man, and you were the last one to really not accept that it is screwed up or whatever, and you hid. Some of us are still out there trying to fight, and yeah, it's again truth to power, and I think that's a cool thing for Ollie to do. And again, like you said, Bruce can counter with Ollie. You're not Father of the Year yourself. Look how you handle your family and everything, and it's true.
Yeah, in that particular story, it was more just surface level shit talk. It was like, you know, they're running across rooftops, and Ollie's like, "Why do you wear that cape all the time? Like, isn't it heavy? Like, isn't it kind of a hassle?" And he's like, "I like the cape. You know, he's like, yeah, but I mean, it's got to make it harder, like at your age." And Batman's like, "Well, yeah, it's not like a boxing glove, pail of water, or anything really useful. Like, you know, he's making fun of his arrows." Yeah, so they kind of went back and forth. And it was really fun. It's cool to see two non-powered guys just kind of chest bump and try to show off. So it was a really fun dynamic that I'd love to write again.
That's excellent, man. Shall we move on because we've had some good stuff, but there's still more
Yeah, sure.
books to talk about.
I'm
One
happy to
of
talk about whatever you want.
and again, I think the next issue is next week. But here's a great cover for Incredible Hulk 15.
Yeah. That's
Man,
right. 15 just dropped, right?
yeah, last week I want to say, and yeah, man, another really interesting story as this overlord of monsters is trying to resurrect one, and is sicking all the monsters against the Hulk, and yeah, and also weird twists. Also, Hulk's little female friend turning into a doll, a sentient doll.
Yeah, right. So yeah, that was kind of it was time to kind of shake up the status quo a little bit. I was the whole thing with Eldest and the Mother of Horrors
Yes,
in the first issue was meant to kind of be a setup for just kind of set the stage for the entire run where they travel across the American South and then something happens and these monsters just find them. Like the Hulk has kind of become this lightning rod for monsters wherever they go. And it was a great vehicle to kind of tell all these stories about America and about just our folklore, our legends, but also the things about us that are kind of fucked up. But people really wanted to see some forward momentum on the actual Eldest Mother of Horrors elements of the story, so I started kind of picking it up, and we had that story in New Orleans with Danny Earls. Danny drew the hell out of that arc.
he sure did. We're going to talk about that, but Gary,
Yeah,
feel free to start talking about that because
Danny's incredible.
Yeah,
he drew New Orleans so well, man, and we made up these catacombs, which of course can't exist in a place like New Orleans, but that's why they're cool. And we introduced Frozen Charlotte.
That before, obviously,
because
we discussed that before in terms of the catacombs and that obviously a little artistic license because of the fact that New Orleans is on the water. So there are no basements in New Orleans.
Yeah, right.
If you try.
Yeah, so, that's why I wanted to kind of bring that in. Like the whole place is kind of a creation of Frozen Charlotte's like mind,
Yes.
So at the end of that, Charlie is now, she's been murdered. Now her soul is trapped in this little doll. So now Hulk is traveling with this little porcelain doll. So now we're in a place where Hulk has found out where he needs to go, like because of like Brother Voodoo and that thing that happened at Strange Academy. Now he's on his way to Las Vegas. And as he's traveling, Eldest tells the story of her first run-in with Hulk and how, like, why she wants Hulk's flesh so bad. And we discover that, like, it ties into Alex Pocknadell and Al Ewing's story from, I think it was Immortal Hulk 50, maybe. It's a story called Time of Monsters, where he talks about this character who is meant to be in Kidu. It's like there's this in the story of Gilgamesh, there was this bull man, the bull man of Acadia. There's like an ally of Gilgamesh's, like this gigantic monstrous guy. And it suggests that this ancient Hulk was in Kidu. And they did so Alex Pocknadell and Al Ewing wrote this story, drawn by Juan Ferreira, I believe, about this ancient Hulk. So we tie it in with that. We show that Hulk later in life and how he meets Eldest and what happens. So we kind of get the origin of Eldest, why Eldest hates Hulk so much, and just kind of setting the stage for what's about to go down in Vegas. And what's going to happen in Vegas, this is all leading up to Hulk issue, like the Legacy issue 800, which is Incredible Hulk 19. That's going to be, I think at some point we had a question on here about, you going to do anything big for Hulk 800? And my honest answer was, I don't really care about that stuff. But since then, I talked to the editors. We decided to make issue 19 the big throwdown between Hulk and Eldest. That's going to happen in issue 19. And then it's going to reset the status quo again with Hulk and Charlie and set them on a whole new adventure.
Excellent. Chatham wonders, and again, maybe we'll have to wait and see, but says Eldest is the strongest of the mother's children, but is she the most dangerous? And again, maybe we'll have to see in the story.
Well, yeah, it's a matter of opinion, I guess. We're gonna see lots more monsters, so I'll let you decide which one's the most dangerous.
Chemdog says Gilgamesh and Ikidu was versus the Heavenly Bull was the story.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Okari enjoyed your World War II Ghost Rider.
Oh, thanks, man. Stay tuned. I wish I could respond to that,
Fair enough.
but
Excellent to hear.
we're
Well, I
we'll
wonder
see
with
him
the
again.
story shifting to Vegas and the Incredible Hulk, could Joe Fixit be far behind?
You know, I don't want to disappoint anybody, but like this, there
Oh,
wasn't. Yeah, sorry.
no. It's I get that, Philip, because truly, as much as I love the character, I don't think Joe fits in a monster story like that.
Yeah, it's a different kind of a thing. Like
Yeah.
the tone of Hulk's voice in this series had to be pretty specific. Again, Joe Fixit doesn't quite fit, and neither does like the baby talk Hulk that we've had sometimes. Like it has to be real, has to be real, there has to be like a real gravitas to it. And Hulk hardly speaks in my run at all.
Yes.
That's pretty important. So yeah, so there's no Joe Fixit yet. That's not to say that he'll never show up, or people very often I get the question of like, which Hulk is this one? Like, and I don't know. I try not to answer those questions because it kind of doesn't matter. Like this is its own story, and Hulk's voice changes depending on the needs of that particular story. And that's what we're doing too.
That's great. Well, back to your artist. Again, as people said, Danny is really just incredible, and there's a real Kirby vibe. I don't know. For me, there's a real Kirby vibe to what he's doing.
Oh yeah, man, Danny's incredible, man. He's another one who's just super game to collaborate. He's reaching out to me on Google Chat all the time. Like, what do you think about this? He'll show me pencils before they're done, or the layouts. Be like, what do you think about this? Is this what you were thinking? Got any photo ref? We'll hit stuff back and forth quite often. He really loves the Dark Souls video games. There's a kind of a visual vibe to these games called like the Dark Souls series or Elden Ring, where there's these crazy designs for the monsters that you're fighting. And there's also this kind of tragic element to them. Like you pity them as you're facing them. Like they're incredibly powerful and scary, but they're also tragic. Like they were made this by these awful circumstances. And it just fits what we're doing with all the monsters in this series. So Danny loves those games, knows them very well. So sometimes we'll talk in terms of specific Dark Souls bosses. Like, yeah, what do you think about the God, what's an example? The dancer of the Boreal Valley or whatever. Like we'll just talk about various, big bosses, about like what kind of vibe we're going for a specific monster. Just today he showed me this design for one. He's like, what if we did this thing like like so I don't want to spoil it. I'm like, oh man, that's so awesome, but we're only seeing the character for a couple of frames. I think we can save it for another issue where we can really get into like show it over and over. So there's just lots of discussions happening with Danny all the time. There was an issue coming up where he wasn't going to be able to do the whole thing, and we were trying to figure out how to make it work. But he's just kind of irreplaceable. Like, how do you? Because no one else pencils like him. But if we were to bring in another inker, it still wouldn't be the same. Like he has the most distinct inks of anyone I think I've ever worked with. So if we want Danny on the story, it kind of just has to be him.
Understood. Yeah.
No.
All right, Zach, and I wanted to ask about this too. Actually, several viewers are praising you guys for the Blood Hunt tie-in that you did. But Zach wants to know, would that have made it into your run without the Blood Hunt event because it felt like it fit in perfect? Or was that based off of some other folklore as well? But yeah, how was handling the Blood Hunt event, and that you had to tie into it in some way? How did that impact your story?
I actually, for that story, I didn't want it to be. So for listeners who don't know, the Blood Hunt event was this thing in Marvel where vampires kind of take over the universe for the Marvel universe for a few issues. So there was one spin-off issue where it was just a Hulk Blood Hunt one-off. And I didn't want it to be like this throwaway story that didn't fit into what we were doing. I wanted something that would still belong in the trade at the end. I wanted every issue that we do for Hulk to fit.
Yeah.
And so we kind of looked at the map like, okay, so in this month, they're going to be on their way to Vegas. So here are the states that they could be traveling through. And I just kind of asked Danny, and this is for anyone who's an aspiring comic creator, I highly recommend you do this. Ask your artist what they love to draw. Ask them if there's anything that they hate drawing also, but ask them like, what do you really just love doing in a page? Sometimes they'll say, I love cityscapes. I love just crazy monsters. I love a lot of facial expressions and dialogue or whatever. Phil Hester told me, I really don't want to draw any carnivals.
Carnivals?
I thought that was pretty hilarious how specific it was. And he said there was some kind of a tryout or something that he had to do a long time ago. Like anyone who were trying out for the specific job, they had to draw a carnival. And he said it was just this colossal pain in the ass. And so he's like scarred from it. No, he's like, if we could not do any carnivals, that'd be great. I mean, if there's one in there, it's okay. But if we could not, that'd be awesome. Anyway, so I asked Danny about that, and not about the carnival, but like what he'd like to draw. And he said, for the specific story. And he said, I'd love to do some kind of an Old West thing. And I kind of scratched my head for that. I was like, well, I mean, it's modern day. Like, how's that going to work? But I sat with it for a minute, and then I realized that there is, John, have you ever been to Old Tucson? Do you know what that is?
I'm aware of it, but I have not been to the Southwest yet. No, go ahead. Tell people.
Yeah. So Old Tucson, it's a little bit south from actual Tucson, Tucson Classic.
Yeah.
Tucson, Arizona.
Tucson proper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ghost town?
It's like a movie set.
Yeah. Okay.
Old Tucson is where they shoot Westerns. They don't have to, but like there's just
period Westerns.
Yeah, it's like it's just this period town that's just there strictly as like a tourist attraction and also to shoot movies.
Huh.
So like a ton of the Westerns that you have seen for generations have been shot in Old Tucson. So, I was like, well, and it kind of got me thinking about what we could do there. And I try to make every story meaningful in some kind of way. It can't just be about monsters.
Sure.
What's the story underneath all that? And I kind of had this idea for a story about immigration. It's in Arizona. And it's a vampire story. What if there's this spot in the Arizona, people die in that desert all the time trying to cross. So what if border jumpers sometimes are on their way through that desert, and there's this little cavern system where these subterraneous vampires they just stay down there. Like there's a nest of them down there, and they just grab people as they go across.
Sure.
And it's too far for them to go south or north before the sun rises. So there's like this little subterranean cave where there's like this vampire nest, and they're different than traditional vampires. They're almost like beetles or something. And they, and it kind of became this metaphor for what, like, so we have this town, this make-believe town meant to tell stories of America as a land of prosperity. And it just, there are these things under the ground that just consume people. And it became this metaphor for immigrants that come here looking for a better life and how we kind of use them up. So that all kind of started with Danny just telling me, let's do something in the Old West. And then that, one thing led to another. And I kind of landed on this story that fit in with the Blood Hunt event, but also had something more to say about the way we use up our immigrants and the way people perceive us versus what we actually are and the impact that we have on the world and all that stuff. So that's how that story came together.
That's excellent. Let's see here. Someone else, ChemDog, said that also the giant-sized Hulk issue was also very good. I agree with that.
Thanks. For that one, they just wanted a giant-sized issue, and for that one, I just like, well, what if we had? I'm trying to think of some kind of an epic visual element. I was like, what if we just had Hulk on a train the whole way through? Because I also had an idea for that I wanted to try out. And I know some people who have. I know a lot of homeless people, and I have a friend of a friend who was a train kid. somebody who just kind of ran away from home and kind of came of age, just going from train car to train car.
Wow.
There's this whole culture of people that do that.
Sure.
And I wanted to show that's another element of America that I wanted to show. So I was like, what if we have Hulk on a train and we introduce him to this kind of like a crossroads demon that's kind of haunts the railroads. And so we get to see Hulk just destroy this train panel by panel until the whole thing just kind of ends. You know, it was really fun. It was really, really fun visuals, just big, larger than life kind of epic story that fit the idea of a giant sized Hulk issue.
Let's see here. Zach says, has there or was there any talk about doing a red band version of your Hulk like they're doing for Blood Hunt or Werewolf by Night?
I actually don't know anything about that. Do you?
No, that's the first time reading about it as well. And we can
I feel like what we're doing is kind of red band. if you mean like going hard with the
I think that is what Zach means.
With the violence and horror, it's already kind of pushing the limits of what we can do as far as violence and horror on the book.
Yeah, I kind of think so too, man. Yeah,
I think if we did more, I think it would be in bad taste.
There you go. Toon Raider wants to know, just got here. Did we talk about Osel Ra from Action yet? I feel like his story with Algren is still yet to be explored. Maybe in Ram V's New Gods. Do you have any more plans with him?
I sure do. I shouldn't talk about it, but I do. I do have more plans.
Right. Absolutely, man.
Thank you for asking that question, though. I love the Super Twins. So, like we're going to see Red Sun and Star Child again somewhere. I shouldn't say more.
I guess what Mason says they're describing as far as the Red Band, Werewolf by Night, and the like. It's a R-rated version. They had special pages and panels that had more gory details. So there you go.
No, I feel like we're already kind of doing the director's cut with what we're doing right now. I don't feel the need to go harder than we're going. I'm like, it's already kind of, yeah. I know comics are not really for kids anymore, like not just for kids, but I do want anyone to be able to, except for like young children. I want anyone to be able to pick up the book and get a lot out of it. So we're already telling the story that I want to tell.
That's cool. Let's see here. Caesar says, any plans for the Heretic? I don't think Damien has ever interacted with this murderer after being revived.
That's a good question. No, right now, there is another story that I did not mention as an influence, and there's a specific element of Hush that I really admire. Well, besides Jim Lee's unbelievable artwork, obviously. I mean, Jim Lee's work on that series is just stupid how good it was. But also, the way that they just incorporate Batman's whole rogues gallery, all of his guest stars, like everyone who knows Batman, that whole book just bleeds Batman. I mean, every character's in it. Superman's in it. Every bad guy he ever fights is in it. I love the way they incorporate all those cameos or just guest appearances. And that is something that I also want to kind of use that, but also, Long Halloween did some of that too, as they try to figure out the mystery over time.
Yeah.
So I don't want to spoil who's going to be in it, but I do want to try to show a lot. I really want this book to be a very accessible, like first experience for Batman for some people. I know I've got some really, really dutiful, kind fans who I know are going to pick up Batman because I'm doing it. And I could not be more grateful for that. And I want this to be, if this is their first like foray into a Batman story, I want it to be like a really awesome introduction that gives them a really comprehensive view of Gotham. So without spoiling who the bad guys are going to be in it, there is one new villain that the whole thing kind of revolves around, but we're going to see a lot more of Batman's rogues gallery.
Very cool. Alex says, do you have any more creator-owned work coming down the pipeline? I love Crocodile Black at Boom.
Thank you. God, I love Crocodile Black. I'm so proud of that book. Yeah, I've got another one that's coming together. There's nothing else that's coming out imminently. Because right now I've just been drowning in work. I'm trying to keep up. There's a couple of books that I'm working on now that are not announced yet. One of them should be announced this month, I think. But I know right now that people have only seen Green Lantern, Hulk, and Crocodile Black on shelves. But I've been doing like 6 books at once, basically.
Oh, wow.
And it's kind of a lot. So now that Crocodile Black is, at least from my side, is now wrapped, and Green Lantern as well, I'm trying to use the time to kind of get caught up on the other ones and make sure I'm further ahead than I am right now. But there are a couple other creator-owned stories that I want to tell very soon.
This Crocodile Black's really interesting because it's, on the one hand, a very interesting, introspective monster story, kind of a Kafka-esque thing going on, but also at the same time, straight up crime story as well. We're watching Leo trying to make his way in the world, but not in the best ways. And he's kind of his own worst enemy as he's having this crocodile issue as well.
Yeah, for sure. When I found Sam, man, like the artist, he's got this really beautiful way of drawing the like showing the grotesque, like the surreal grotesque kind of intruding on reality. And that sort of shaped the whole story. This is a story that with the licensed books I've been doing with Hulk and Batman and Green Lantern and everything else, it all feels like episodic TV, kind of like this thing just goes and goes and goes. And I wanted to tell a story that felt more like a film, where like there's a beginning, middle, and end, kind of a 3-act structure kind of a story instead, where there's a concise arc that happens where this character starts here and ends here, and it's all like just a more concise statement, really. And it's about the power of masks. It's about what happened to us during COVID. It's about mental illness. It's about the city of Baltimore. The whole thing feels very Baltimore to me, at least as somebody who lives right near Baltimore. But man, really, it's just a celebration of Sam's artwork. So I'm very proud of it.
He's got like a Phil Noto quality to him, I think.
Yeah. I don't disagree. Yeah, I love that. Man,
maybe the color palette's making me think that way, but yeah, I mean, it's just clean lines. Very, very, again, very, very. It fits the story great. But yeah,
there were a couple of times where he added a lot of surreal stuff that was not in the script, and the editor was like, "I don't know, I think we should walk some of this back," and I'm like, "I think we should let him go nuts. Like let's just let him do what he's doing." He's crushing it. And I love the idea. Whenever I see a comic that can only work as a comic, I just love that. I just love it. It feels like a celebration of what comics can do, like the work that Sam is doing on this book.
Well, that's the thing. There are moments that are very straight up crime moments. And then again, Leo's nightmares and what's going on inside of him create these schizophrenic moments that we can now see through the art and everything. And I think, I think it's very effective. Definitely.
Well, thank
very
you.
Cool, man. One more issue, right?
Let's see. 3 are out, right?
Yeah.
2 more. It goes through 5.
2 more issues. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Excellent, man. And I don't know if that's coming out next week, issue 4.
I should know that, but I don't. I think it's a couple weeks.
All right, but from Boom, everybody, Crocodile Black, 3 issues in. Is that Kalal? Kalal in Green Lantern War Journal were the old gods in the Algren's memory, Arzaz and the Nameless One from Genesis.
Yes, they were. Good eye.
Nice. Outstanding. Wow. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the old god stuff. Like whenever I see those characters, I don't know. It's just important to tie it all together,
I do know, man. No. And again, I love what you do with mythology, and you're rewriting mythology for the Marvel monsters, I think, in an interesting way that I hope others will embrace when they do monster stories.
Well, thank you. Yeah. So in that issue that they're talking about, we wanted to show Arzaz, and we also wanted to show the Nameless One. But of course, initially they had a name, so we gave the Nameless One a name. But in the mythology that we're writing here, that character created this. They committed this unforgivable crime, and their punishment for that crime was to be not just killed, but like eradicated from existence. Like they made it so that they never existed at all. but then some like later, like in a later age, a later eon, they found their way back because they have been erased and then found their way back. They're now known as the Nameless One because their existence was like truly erased.
Yeah, wiped away. Yeah,
they come back as the Nameless One later on, which is why they're called that.
I like that. Absolutely. Now, Aaliyah has this question. I know this upcoming story focuses on Bruce and Damien, but will Bruce's previous failures and lessons he learned with the other kids play a part in your run? Yeah, I mean, obviously, in what Chip was doing, the family just got back together after Bruce ostracized them during the whole failsafe
right
arc and everything. So yeah, they're just back. So yeah, I mean, are tensions still there within the family in your Batman and Robin run?
Yeah, it really is kind of the at least within my DC work, it's kind of the dark retort to to my work in Superman, where Superman is just like the ultimate father.
Sure.
And Batman is the ultimate that sounds harsh, but like the ultimate failure as a father, kind of like the great man who didn't really know how to be the great. He's just too irreparably broken to be like an effective dad, and he was just kind of looking for soldiers. He just doesn't know what kids need because he didn't need it or didn't think he needed it. So anyway, yeah, we're definitely going to see some. I cannot wait to show. I don't even know in what way exactly it's going to happen, but I will guarantee we're going to see Damien interact with his brothers. To me, that's just crucial.
I can appreciate that, definitely. Let's see.
I think probably the most interesting Robin to me over the years has been Jason. Just the idea of just the concept of the broken Robin. To me, he just consummates all Bruce's failures as a father.
100%, man. Are you reading Mark DeMatteis's alternate take on Death in the Family and what happened with Robin living?
I haven't yet. No, forgive me. I haven't yet.
Yeah, and it's great they got, and now I'm blanking on who the artist is, but he evokes that Jim Aparo era Batman that, was in the 80s and stuff, and really,
that was my Batman, dude. Most of my comics I got them secondhand mostly, but I had a good bit of Jim Aparo, and man, I heard he was a real pro too. I heard that he was super reliable and fast and just like always on top of it and like really reliable.
Yeah, ChemDog's right. Rick Leonardi is the artist on Mark's run, and no, I'm with you. And it's so funny that you say that because Aparo was my first Batman as well artist in Brave and Bold, and I remember getting those Batman Wildcat issues.
I think I remember his work most clearly on Batman and the Outsiders.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. And then subsequently, yeah, definitely the Outsider stuff.
Yeah, I love those. Like those stories were so dope. Man, I would, if I had my way, I would love to do an Outsider story and have the Outsider be the way to bring Alfred back. I thought that would be.
Oh, that Outsider. Yeah, man. Oh my God. I love that.
That'd be fun.
I love
that kind of thing wouldn't really fit in what I'm doing right now. It's like I know it's kind of off the wall, but I don't know. The whole arc was pretty fun.
It was a great. I mean, it's one of the best ideas to come from that Carmine Infantino era of Batman, and it was such a great shock that the Outsider, this mysterious villain and stuff, and all of a sudden it's that's Alfred. What? It was great, and really, man, that's kind of when the stuff was still being written for 12-year-olds.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's kind of a silly idea, but I loved it. I don't know.
Hey, you don't have to explain it to me, man. Because when you said Outsiders, I'm like, that'd be cool seeing you like do the original team and have Geoforce and Halo and Looker and all
Katana and everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when the ones that I was reading had Geoforce, Black Lightning, I think was on the team.
Yeah,
Katana, Metamorpho.
Right, Metamorpho. I forgot Black Lightning.
Yeah. That was a fun book. But I just remember Jim Aparo. That was what Batman looked like to me. I mean, I had a lot of really, really old books where he looked quite different, but Jim Aparo is probably what I had the most of.
The guy that I'm always glad to see come back and have a conversation with Bruce is Tim Drake. And Chemdog even says my first Batman issues I got were Tim Drake's first appearance. In fact, when you were talking about what you read, where Batman was really out of control, and Alfred reminding him that, hey, you used to use your brain, not your fist to solve things. That's really, I loved the direction they were going in, culminating in Marv Wolfman introducing Tim Drake, where it's like, no, Batman, like, as Tim himself said, no, Batman needs a Robin to kind of stay centered and remember the mission and remember the human side of the mission.
Yeah, Tim was the perfect Robin for that too. I love the idea of him being like, Tim is the one who was the real detective, and I love that. I love that Tim actually just figured it out and surprised him in the Batcave and all that. Like, that was, man. So I really admire Tim as a character a lot.
I'm with you. That's interesting. Shisui wants to know who would be on your modern Batman Outsiders lineup.
Oh my God. Now don't tease me like that. If I could do an Outsiders book now, man, that's a great question. I hadn't even thought about it.
Yeah, neither have I, man. I'm trying to think of any.
I mean, I love Jason so much, but I'd love to have Red Hood in there. But I guess that probably wouldn't work. Be a team guy. Man, I don't know, dude. I think I'm just gonna burn up time here thinking about it. Let me get back to you on that.
Well, what?
I'll post it. I will think about that and I'll put it on socials. I'll like, hey, you guys were asking my Batman the Outsiders. I'll give you a lineup online.
One character that I always feel deserves more love that I wouldn't mind seeing on the Outsiders is the Manhunter. Is it Kate Spencer? Is that her name?
Kate Spent. Is that Batwoman's name? No,
that's Kane. I know that.
Yeah, sorry. I forget.
But I'm talking about the Mark Andreyko Manhunter character that.
Yeah.
She was, she was tied to. Oh God, now I'm blanking on his name from the Young All Stars. Iron Monroe. I think she was like Iron Monroe's granddaughter or whatever. It is Kate Spencer. Thank you, Chemdog. Indeed, that's who I was talking about. So yes, I think she'd be an interesting outsider. But I'm all for the classic lineup. I don't think you need a new lineup, really.
Yeah, that's the thing. It would be hard to picture the Outsiders without those guys. I remember it would. Yeah, having a team without Katana and Metamorpho, especially, would be hard to.
And I like the world politics, bringing in Geoforce and everything in his country.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Really.
There you go. Well, dude, I think we did good. I'm trying to think, have we missed anything? Like you said, you're working on a lot of things they haven't announced yet. So I imagine we'll be hearing more as the months continue this year.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to see a Terrificon this weekend, and I do want to talk to you more. I'll talk to you more about Batman and Robin on that panel. I got a ton of thoughts about Batman I want to share. I can't wait to reveal this new villain that we created. I can't wait to show Javi's art and the direction we're doing for the book. Man. Yeah. I'm just gonna treat this as if it's ever only gonna be this is gonna be my only Batman book ever, and I'm telling the story that I really want to tell in this arc. So I hope fans dig it. It's exactly what I want to see as a Batman reader myself. So I hope fans love it as much as we do.
I again looking forward to it, and also again everybody. So at Terrificon there will be a DC All-In panel that will feature Phillip and Scott Snyder and Jason Aaron, and Jason and Scott will be talking about their Absolute books. Scott doing Absolute Batman, Jason's doing Absolute Superman. Phillip will be talking about Batman and Robin. Mark Waid is also going to be at the show, and I don't remember right now if he's got a panel or not, but to me it made sense to have Mark there as well. I'm surprised he's not listed on the panel, because as Absolute Power winds down, it spins into All In. So in some cases. Let's see. Oh, well, William wants to know, do you have a favorite Robin and a favorite version of the dynamic duo?
Man. Now I'm literally choosing my children now. Like, now I'm writing Batman and Robin. I mean, I've been digging so deep into the whole Batman Damian relationship. I mean, it's not, man, I don't know what to say. They're all so great for such different reasons. I mean, Dick was the best one as
Yeah.
far as like who was the most effective Robin. To me, the answer has to be Dick Grayson. I mean, he's just the best. He's the one. He's the standard that Batman holds all the others to, kind of unfairly.
Well,
And
but he was the first. Go ahead, finish your thought. No,
yeah,
stop.
well, there's a conversation in my mind that happens between Jason and Damian, and I don't whether or not this conversation ever actually happens in the comic. I don't know, but I mean, Jason explains to Damian, which we're he wants us all to be Dick. Like he wants us all to be Dick Grayson, and no matter how great you are, you're never going to be that. And
Yeah, sure.
It's so there's that. Jason to me is, and over the years has been my quote unquote favorite, even though he wasn't as good as Dick Grayson. He was my favorite to see because he's broken, because of everything that
Sure.
happened. He kind of represents like Batman's failures, kind of. I love that Tim is the detective. I love all the potential, the storytelling potential between Bruce and Damian. Now that he has, like, Bruce has a biological son that has so much of himself in there, and they're both broken in such similar ways. Seeing them try to be father and son together is so awkward and complicated and beautiful and sad. Like I don't know. To me, that's probably the most interesting version of the dynamic duo is him and Damian.
That's cool. I think I love where Bruce and Dick's relationship is now, that Dick is really the other adult in the room, and more so even than Tim, but like, yeah, that, and again, he could really get in Bruce's face because they've known each other so long, and Bruce maybe sometimes reluctantly, but it's like Bruce listens to Dick.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
that's like he's his conscience. He really, and especially since Alfred has passed, it's like now it really rests on Dick's shoulders to kind of keep Bruce in perspective.
Yeah, I mean, Dick outgrew his role himself as Robin. He has outgrown Robin.
Yes.
He's his own man. He can look back and he can still love Bruce, but also recognize the ways in which Bruce is fucked up and ways in which Bruce failed him as a dad. That's just a really interesting and beautiful relationship that fascinates me. And I love that Damian was his Robin too. That Damian and Dick know each other so well. Man, there's just so many interesting relationships in that whole family. So it's impossible for me to say which one is my. At one time, I would have said Jason was my favorite, but it doesn't mean he was the best one. And I think like my favorite relationship to write and to explore is Bruce and Damian.
Well, understood. Shisui wants to know who you think the best is to be Batman after Bruce.
You know what? That is. Bruce is Batman. He just is. I mean, there's no other Batman but Bruce. And actually, we're going to kind of see that play out in this conversation, in this story. Actually, there's a thing that happens in the first couple of issues of my run where Damian starts to question what he's even doing this for. And we're going to see if Damian even wants to be Robin anymore. And that in turn makes Batman question, like, is there going to be a Batman after I'm gone? I mean, everyone else has kind of found themselves.
Yep.
Like Dick is Nightwing, and he's got his own life, his own turf. He's doing his own thing. Jason is never going to be Batman. He's something else. Tim is becoming his own man, also very different. Damian is his literal son, his biological son, who I think on some level Batman expects to become Batman, who we see as Batman in other stories. But now Damian's not sure he wants that. So Batman is starting to ask the question, like, shit, is this going to end when I die? Like, what's going to happen to Gotham when I'm gone?
Interesting.
So there's this thing that happens in the story that kind of puts everything into question. So I can't wait to show readers what's coming.
That's awesome. Let's see here. Oh, Eric wants to know, and again, if this is spoiling, whatever, but just from a page count, he's wondering how many pages Hulk 800 will be.
I don't know. My part in it, there's going to be another story in there that's not mine. My part in the story is going to be 20 pages, like as per usual.
Yeah, and I would imagine, obviously, there's other writers coming back to write a 10-pager or whatever,
Yeah, there's at least, I don't remember. I'm not sure if there's going to be one backup or two, but my chapter is going to be 20 pages, and that's with Nick Klein on art.
Okay.
Man, Nick's got the script now, and God, it's insane. Like we were talking about the script all day today, and stuff that's in there, and the visuals in that book are so wild. Nick just loves doing a crazy, surreal, monstrous things, and I gave him a lot to work with in issue 800. So look out for that. Nick is doing the best work of his career by far.
And in regular or in current numbering, 800 is number 19, right? And we're on number
19 issue. Incredible Hulk number 19 is Legacy 800.
Right, and 15 is the one that just came out last week. So we got 4 more.
Yeah,
before we get to it.
15 and 16 are Danny Earls, and then 17, 18, 19 are Nick Klein. Although in issue 18 there's some flashback. There's like some back and forth stuff between Nick and Danny. But 17, 18, 19 is another arc. That's the Vegas arc, and it's mostly with Nick.
Okay, a comment from Asa, and that is Luke Fox is Batwing and Jace Fox is Batman. Okay. And also Shisui wanted to know what you think of Batman Beyond.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, my younger brother, Bill, is he was a huge Batman Beyond fan growing up. And I also really liked it. I had to kind of catch up on it later. But I thought it was extremely well done. And whenever elements of Batman Beyond show up in the books, it's always really fun. No, I love that series. So
yeah, and I go ahead.
Oh, my son and I are watching the Batman Cape Crusader show right now, and it's incredibly good.
I'm so glad you brought that up, man. I forgot to ask you about that. What do you think of the Amazon show?
I love it. We both love it. It's
great.
Incredibly good. I could not be happier with it. And when it's done, he and I are going to start getting through Batman Beyond, I think.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think it's amazing, and certainly a lot of our friends are writing episodes, and Brubaker running the writers room.
Oh my God, really I know. In such great hands. Brubaker's my spirit animal.
But yeah, I talked to Mark DeMatteis about DeMatteis about his episode, and privately I've talked to Mark Bernardin and
I was going to say Bernardin did some stuff in there. I've met Bernardin. I'm sure he wouldn't remember, but I really admire his stuff.
Great guy.
Brubaker and Sean Phillips' work they inspired Crocodile Black.
I believe that, and I'm so glad you said that, because again, that was the vibe. I was getting that criminal vibe from Crocodile Black. So
I've read everything those guys have done together. I was actually hanging out with my friend Alex Pocknadell in England a couple of years ago, and there's this amazing pub where he hangs out sometimes with like a little group of writer friends or writer artist friends. Andy Diggle is one of them.
Oh,
and Sean Phillips is one of them. And forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but I'd never seen Sean before, but I've seen an awful lot of his artwork. And I walk in there and I see him at the bar. I'm like, motherfucker, you are Sean Phillips. Because I've seen him in his books over and over, and he clearly uses himself for reference for some stuff, or at least he just, he looks in the mirror and has his idea what a face looks like.
That's great. I didn't realize that.
I was probably a little too aggressive when I introduced myself. But man, it was cool.
I'm happy Sean continues and then Sean and Ed together are amazing, but I'm really happy for Sean's son, Jacob, who I think is really showing the talent he is as well.
Yeah, so, I know. He's crushing it. It's awesome.
I agree with you. Absolutely, man. All right, Ali, I'm going to let you do this last question. Although first I really want to say, am I right? Is your Superman run coming out now as an omnibus?
Yes, they announced an omnibus coming out next year for my Superman stuff. Omnibus Volume 1, it said.
Oh, let's hope there's more than obviously, because you got to get the whole story in there, man.
Yeah, let's hope, huh?
Absolutely. And Aaliyah wants to know, you mentioned Damien will interact with his brothers. Does that include Duke Thomas? And do Cassandra and Stephanie ever come to play? I enjoy reading Stephanie and Damien's dynamic before. Sure.
I hope this run goes a really long time. And I don't want to spoil who's coming. First of all, I don't have the entire thing planned out yet, really. Because I had a good 3 years on Superman. And I would love to have that long on Batman too.
Wow.
So there's a ton of awesome characters, including all the ones you mentioned. I don't know yet who's going to appear. Like right now, I'm only a few scripts in, so we'll have to see. Right now, I'm trying to keep it very, clear on like who it's about, and not just throw in every character that I like just because I like them.
Sure.
So up till now, I've not seen those characters, but I'm also not very deep into my run. So everybody's on the table, and I do like those characters you mentioned. So hopefully they'll show up.
Great to hear. Well, again, everybody, if you're going to Terrificon, you'll have the opportunity to ask Phillip more questions about Batman and Robin, or Hulk, or Crocodile Black, or even Green Lantern War Journal, and we'll get more information from him in the DC All In panel that'll be happening at Terrificon. I will be recording that panel and presenting it on Word Balloon, eventually getting the video as well. We let the people that do all the videos for the show's panels shoot the video, and I get them as I let them, obviously they're shooting the video, so I let them obviously get first viewings for their website and their platform, even here on YouTube. But eventually I'll get those as well. And really looking forward to seeing everybody at Terrificon and talking more with Phillip, both on the panel, but also at his table, and meeting. Hopefully his wife will be there and his kid, and I look forward to meeting them as well.
Yeah, man. Always a pleasure, John. Thanks for having me on here.
Thank you for coming on, as always, Phillip. It's as I say usually to wrap up, I'm very glad we've become as good friends as we are.
Oh, really, man, me too. You're the best.
Likewise, man. No. Believe me, I lean on you a lot for your opinions, and I appreciate it. So thanks, everybody, for watching. Stick around because, let's see, I got to do the math. In about 2 hours and 10 minutes, I'll be talking to Tom King, and we'll be talking about Wonder Woman and Penguin. And what else have they announced for Tom? Well, of course, I forget the name of his romance that he's doing over at Image, and just a ton of books. So, and of course, the new announcement, he's doing Archie. He has the one shot with Dan Parent doing Archie. So lots to talk about with Tom King and the King's Speech coming up in just over 2 hours. So come back here to Word Balloon and check that out. Until next show, everybody stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.